And therefore, they had to find things that they were arguing over so that people could choose one party over the other every time the elections came around. You really lost me? You really lost it at me because I gently encouraged you to at least mention other aligned struggles and movements happening in the rest of the world right now? Man, shut up. I don't care, okay? Shut up. I am one person. If you think that I am capable of covering every single conflict happening all around the world, including ones that I already have for the record, that you cynically came in here and was like, oh, I'm just simply making a suggestion. Like, half of the fucking countries that you actually mentioned, I have done broad coverage on, okay? You're just fucking annoying. Go look it up on your own instead of fucking coming in here and being like, what about my own personal issues here? How'd you find that chatter twice? I see everything in the chat, and it pisses me off. Was a mainstream conservative voice. But mainstream conservative voices do not want you to discuss what those positions actually are. Because they also realize these ideals are inconsistent the way most Americans see liberal. Most Americans, these ideals are inconsistent with the way most Americans think American liberal democracy is supposed to work. What is this? Yesterday on NBC when you said you aren't the CEO of Antifa, did you mean that you are? You could say what those voices are actually saying to keep that consistent with the initial sentence. I'm saying Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative voice, but mainstream conservative voices do not want you to discuss what those positions actually are because they also realize these ideals are inconsistent with the way most Americans think American liberal democracy is supposed to work. I think that's fine. It makes sense with the way liberal democracy is supposed to work. My coworker won't give you a chance because, as he explains it, he's already given up and only sees you as a voice box for today's latest catastrophe and suffering. If you see everything in the chat, you saved my life and keep me going as an activist in Chicagoland. Love you. Hell yeah. Anyway. Also, the GOP is cheering the Kimmel suspension and felt it was a long time coming. 71% think of the GOP. 71% of the GOP think the mainstream media is biased and should be punished. And being upset by government influence, 64% of GOP already felt U.S. media was influenced a great deal by government interests. I think this is a crisis in misinformation. The reason why is because 90% on the mainstream side, 90% of conservatives get their news from a singular resource, Fox News. And this is the Fox News narrative and has been the Fox News narrative. The media is biased. Mainstream media is biased. And Twitch is being dragged to Congress. You are going to get dragged through the mud just as you should be after doing nothing but inciting hate and violence for years. I truly hope that the rotten douchebag you are gets permabanned from all socials. This is what I mean, brother. You have made up this power that I hold in your mind. You have decided to not understand what I represent. Okay? And it's fine. It's good to have some villains. But I always say, recognize who the real villains are. Okay? Like, do you really think that a fucking Twitch streamer has this much power over your life? Do you really think that in a world where I am silenced and suppressed on all fucking social media platforms, let's say it happens, right? Let's say the government kicks in and they're like, we need to make sure that this one guy is fucking done with, okay? He's dealt with. Do you feel like that is going to materially improve your life in any capacity? You're going to forget about it. Shit's still going to suck. And I'll give you an example, one that I use all the time. Donald Trump spent very little time fixing the prices. Donald Trump spent very little time trying to fix the housing crisis. Houses are more unaffordable than at any other point in American history right now. Okay? That's the real issue. Healthcare and the price of healthcare keeps going up in this goddamn country. That's the real problem. The cost of education keeps going up in this goddamn country. That's the real problem. Donald Trump is not addressing any of those problems. He's not addressing it at all. What he has addressed so far is the 49 trans athletes that were participating at the collegiate level have been barred from athletic competition. He did that. Did that fix your life? Is it cheaper now to purchase groceries? Is it actually easier for you to get health care? Do you think that you won't get saddled with medical debt that will carry over for the rest of your life and haunt you if, God forbid, something awful happens to you? This is small-minded shit. People for not saying that their ideas are popular because they think that if they actually silence the opposition, they'll be able to get more people on board. They'll be able to live in this fantasy land where everybody goes, no, you know what? These opinions are great, actually. Fascists. Thank you, Austin. He's right.
Yeah, there are rare points in which I see a piece of data and it just sort of jumps off the screen at me. And this is one of them because I really just think it tells the entire story. And this is among Republicans. The media is biased and should be punished. Look at this. 71% of Republicans agree with the idea that the media is biased and should be punished. Republicans are absolutely loving what is happening right now to Jimmy Kimmel. Absolutely love the words that are coming out of Brendan Carr's mouth. The bottom line is that they believe that the media is biased and should be punished. So taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air, if there's government influence there, they're absolutely enjoying it.
Well, but punished by whom, I guess, is the question. How are Republicans, and how much are Republicans, as you're pointing out here, likely to, or what are they going to think about that this decision was made with government influence? Yes,
exactly right. So, it's one thing if the idea is, okay, Jimmy Kimmel's being punished by his own company, right? Being punished by ABC, being punished by Disney. But the idea that the government is influencing it, I don't think that Republicans are going to have much of a problem with it because take a look here. Republicans already think that the U.S. media and U.S.
mainstream media is liberal, right? And there's a lot of government interference already. This is something that they've hallucinated. That doesn't mean it's real. Now, what's important here is that because this isn't real, you can have a conversation with people and explain to them why it's not real. And you should, okay? You should. A big chunk of conservative grievances stem from not recognizing that their ideas are not broadly popular, okay? And they want to punish. She's also, putting her body on the line. Respect. But anyway, what is this? Yugopnik said.
New media dominating old media one day at a time. Yes.
Zoran and Como.
They are afraid of the streamer class, chat. That is why they want to ban us. They are using all signs of mainstream political violence as a tool to fight the true class that matters in the new media landscape, and that is people in front of microphones and people in front of chat. They are not only afraid of us, the microphone people, they are afraid of the chatters.
I mean, low key, this sounds like kind of silly, but and I would have said this exact same thing in a sarcastic tone until recently, but it does seem to me like, especially after this past election cycle, it does kind of feel like those in positions of power do look to independent media as a much more significant entry point to mass communication. Like I think that mainstream outlets still have a lot of prestige. Mainstream outlets still have the capacity to reach out to the masses, especially when they are united, especially when they can present like a united front on issues that pertain to like the American State Department, for example, like American State Department policy and things of that nature. But having said that, in this very moment, I do think that independent media has a tremendous opportunity. You literally have the same ratings as CNN. When you watch CNN, you double the viewership. Yeah, I think we're at a stage right now where independent media absolutely has a lot of mileage, and I think that's the reason why they want to enforce control to the best of their ability. Okay, that's why they want to clamp down. That's why they want to silence dissent. That is precisely what's going on here. That is what I see happening, and it's going to get. I think it's going to get worse too. That's what I think. Anyway.
Or what is a streamer without chat, and what is chat without a streamer? The first they came for the streamer and I said nothing, for I was not a streamer. Then they came for chat and I said nothing because...
Okay. All jokes aside. All right. I saw this. This was an incredible... My haters are excellent. Okay. Remember this one? Remember the move to Israel, lolicon, neo-Nazi, Zionist, YouTuber, VTuber. Yeah, he came out and basically said what we've already known. He said, "Hi, Jew here. I uniquely get shit from the far right and certainly the far left. And I can say with 100% certainty, I would entrust my life to a Hitler-hiling, anti-Semitic, Jews-controlled universe Nick Guentes Groiper named Kill Rape Jews Groiper 42069 over a modern
news organizations are in fact influenced by government interests. Look at this again amongst Republicans.
The irony is, this is correct, just not in the way that Republicans think it is. When Republicans say like, oh, the media is biased or the U.S. media is influenced by government interests, yeah, on Israel, on American foreign policy. And yes, liberal media does actually present an antagonistic viewpoint to like their left flank, for example. We saw that with Bernie Sanders. But I think a lot of people see that, a lot of people feel that, and then they think the media being antagonistic towards any figure whatsoever implies that those figures are actually presenting good ideas, anti-establishment ideas. And that's how you arrive at Donald Trump. Okay? That's why there are so many Americans that go, I love Donald Trump and I love Bernie Sanders.
Look at this, 64%. This is, again, even before the Kimmel news broke, 64% of Republicans.
You are the reason. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, MBs, you already know what it is. Comedy is legal now. Comedy is legal now. You already know what it is. You say you're a socialist, but you have YouTube Premium. I say I'm a socialist, but I also have a nice car, nice house. You already know what it is. I'm fake. I'm phony. How are you not aware of this by now? It's a fake socialism time, baby. Champagne socialism, champagne for all. Anyway, where was I? This is the part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of Hasanabi Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. So help me God. That's what I'm gonna do. Did you see the David car chase yesterday? That wasn't David, bro. I don't think that was David. Was it? Was that David? I mean, we watched the car chase, but I don't think it was David. I don't, it'd be shocking if he gained so much weight in such a short period of time. But where did I get this shirt? The Guinness Anti-Fascist Action Ireland shirt? I don't remember. Someone sent it to me in my P.O. box. Some Irish terror enjoyer sent it. But I used to have a P.O. box, and I'm going to bring it back too, so don't worry about that. That's going to happen. Bro, you got to talk to nephew. He's out here supporting David. No, he's not, brother. Oh, God. How are y'all so fast, so easily duped? How are y'all so easily duped? Especially if you're in this community, the time and place and different clips that are from a different time is going to be used, be weaponized, okay? Devoid of context. Any clip that you see of nephew talking about David is either before there was additional information that came out, or from way back in the day when there was no body that was even recovered from his car, If you're assigned to an Antifa bunker this weekend, the new passcode has been posted in a Signal group. I go back and forth on this. I'm obviously going to keep memeing about the Antifa CEO stuff, but low key, I do think that they're just going to use all of that for they are going to process us for jokes, I think, for sure. Anyway, but yeah, personal news wise, I'm diving right into the news because you guys it's Friday, but y'all are excited, huh? Personal news wise, this is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news. Another banger episode of the Fear M podcast recorded after the stream ended. You already know. Be on the lookout Monday. So much. Be on the lookout. You'll see it on Monday when it comes out. 9 a.m. Pacific time. Also, aside from that, I didn't really do much. I just slammed a beam and then went to bed. Woke up early. Got a lift in, upper body day. You already know what it is. No big business deals today. No interviews today. Didn't do any of that stuff. Just straight up just lifting, getting the lift in, What's a beam? No, beam. It's like one of our hashtag ads on the Fear M broadcast, on the Fear M podcast. Beam is it's like melatonin. But yeah. Get those reps in. Get those reps in, chat. Are you going to talk about the trans Antifa designation? Yes. Modest crotch shot? Yeah, modest. Anyway, so infuriating, the Hasanabi shadow ban that you got to search him up on the app law. Easily most watched streamer, and it never the stream that pops up. I don't think I'm shadow banned on this application. I think a lot of people say that, and I don't know why. It's most likely because the Twitch app is wonky and it's inconsistent. But I don't think I'm shadow banned. The reason why I say I'm not is because I'm literally usually the largest streamer on the platform at any given moment, or or the second largest. So I don't think that's the case. Every media appearance the Sonnet has, they introduce him as a controversial figure being targeted by the president, and he's sitting there like this. It's true. It's true. I do be sitting like that. But yeah. I know you touched on this yesterday, but how do you get in the mood to get up and work out when shit is so dire? What do you mean? I fucking love working out. It's the best thing to do. It's like when shit is dire, it's perhaps the best thing that you can do. When things go wrong, when things go bad, when things seem like they're totally out of your control, routine is good. And also improving your body, improving your mind is good. Improving your soul, if that's something you care about. You know what I mean? I treat the gym like it's all three. Every time my dog sit at other people's houses, I put your videos up on YouTube to try to change their algorithm. Nice. But yeah, it's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing to do. And the reason why it's my favorite thing to do is because it's just like it helps my brain. It's a nice thing that I can focus on. It's a thing that I can focus on that gets me off my this is you know the awful shit that I normally experience on a day-to-day basis. All right. You watch Long Story Short? No. This is why I've always been every leftist needs to work out and have some discipline in their lives type leftist, and not like working out and even focusing on aesthetics is body fascism type leftist. I'm not. I've never been that guy. Right? I hike for 3 miles in the woods. And look, to each according to their own ability, of course. It's not about like everybody weightlifting. That's not what I'm saying either, you know? Some people do pickleball. Some people enjoy walking. I hate walking. I play basketball and I weightlift. So, what is this? I am an anti-fascist, okay? This administration is a fascist one. I am an anti-fascist. What the fuck are we doing? What's next? Are they going to openly go, nope, we are a fascist government now? They're going to just say that? Is that what we're doing? Because anti-fascism is just fascism. Bro, don't say that right now. Oh, what the fuck? Get out of here, dude. Listen, you need to understand something, okay? These people are not strong. They're fucking weak. They fear you being united, okay? We have the numbers. There are Americans of good conscience everywhere. And because they're so fearful that if the people stand united, that they'll be defeated, they try to pick apart. They try to divide the masses. They try to make an example out of people. And when institutions don't actually respond in defense of the citizens, in a country like the United States of America especially, if institutions don't respond, if people don't respond, if they actually obey in advance, then regardless of how weak they are, regardless of how fearful they are, they win. And it doesn't stop. When they get a victory, they do not stop. That just emboldens them to dig deeper. This is how it fucking works. There is a lot of discontent against this administration. They do not have the numbers. They can't even get the fucking National Guard to be deployed everywhere. They can't do that. And even if they were to do that, there is no guarantee of success, because the National Guard is also comprised of your fucking neighbors. There's no guarantee that those guys are going to be like, all right, well, we're loyal servants of fascism now. I've seen it. I saw the fucking 29 Palms Marines when I went out there at the ICE protests in LA. They didn't want to fucking be there. They were just around. They were sleeping on concrete floors because the administration is so goddamn fucking stupid. I know Trump says he will designate Antifa as a terrorist organization and launch a probe into it. I need you to understand, they are weak. These are the actions of a weak administration. These are not the actions of a strong administration. If they were strong, they wouldn't feel the need to stamp out any sort of discontent. If they were strong, they wouldn't feel the need to try to put the fear of God in your hearts, in your minds, in your soul, to stop you, to make you think twice before you engage in any sort of anti-fascist action, before you engage in any sort of demonstration, because they are afraid. It is upon all of us to make sure that we don't stand down. I am an anti-fascist. Damn, I popped off on that one. That's crazy. Anti-fascism isn't a political stance, it's a moral imperative. Exactly. Like I guess like one of the worst aspects of this, one of the scariest aspects of this this attitude change from the administration is that they're like leaning more comfortably in the fascist direction, or at least like openly recognizing that they are fascist, because that's what comes next. Dude, this has been the most like I told you so for years week in my career, I think. Whether it be all of my warnings towards liberals and their lack of anger and lack of discontent against censorship when it was like annoying pro-Palestine campus activism, or whether it be all of the centrist political content creators that I kept saying were aligning themselves with right-wingers in an effort to deplatform people like myself. I kept telling them, it's not going to stop with me. It will eventually come for you as well. Because the goal here isn't just to eradicate the radicals. And also, make no mistake, nothing I'm saying is radical anyway. I think it's more radical to be a fascist. I think it's more insane to be an administration that ran on mass deportation in a country that is comprised entirely of migrants. We are a nation of migrants. No one here, with the exception of Native Americans, who withstood the genocide of the genocide from the initial pilgrims, the settlers. No one here is a Native American. You know, everyone's an immigrant. We're descendants of settlers and then descendants of immigrants. So the notion that we're going to do mass deportations in the country is so fucking insane. It is un-American. It is anti-American, right? So my point is, opposing that, resisting that is a moral imperative. It's not just a political stance or a political ideology. It's the right thing to do. No matter how much these guys try to stamp it out, no matter how much these guys try to attack it. And those who actually tried to present a centrist position for the longest time, those who sat on the fence for the longest time, are now suffering the repercussions themselves. I've seen it. One example that I will obviously get to, one example that I'll talk about is the whole, hold on, is the Destiny stuff that's taking place right now. You know, this guy used malicious smears and clips out of context and even aligned himself with right-wing shitheads for the longest time to try to actively deplatform me. And now those right-wing shitheads are coming after him too and are successfully deplatforming him. And it's just like, and the same goes for a lot of liberals who just stood idly by and watched as this administration and the administration prior to it was going after campus protesters, arresting them, actively coming after pro-Palestine content creators. A clip of you defending his free speech went semi-viral. Wish that went both ways. Yeah, and using Dan Saltman's dumbass website as a reference. Bro, I don't think you guys understand. It's not even just Dan Saltman. Like, Destiny has an entire Wikipedia page designed to literally tar and feather every single fucking prominent leftist account. They literally compile opposition research that the free press has used. Okay? They straight up compiled opposition research on me and every other person to the left of Destiny for years and years. And now the right wingers are fucking using that shit. But it's ironic because they're also going after Destiny as well. If he had any fucking decency beyond, you know, the CSAM distribution and whatnot, he would delete all that shit. But he won't. Anyway. But yeah, I saw the whole, like, he's announcing he's retiring from politics stuff. He's not going to do that, but again, this is something that I warned about for so long. It's something that I warned about over and over again to people in my community. It's something that I warned about as like a broader trend, a broader problem, if left unaddressed. And the chickens are coming home to roost right now, and it's not good. Let me tell you, it's not good. All right. Well, there is some good happening here, though. Of course, we got Tim Heidecker coming in later. So, what is this? Always flexing your wealth, bro? Hold on. Just let me blast off real quick, okay? Antifa plus trans people designated. He still believes you should be deplatformed, so I don't have sympathy. That is insane. So in this very moment, when all of the fucking right-wingers are up his ass and have successfully gotten him to be demonetized on YouTube, this dumb motherfucker is still thinking I'm the problem? Oh my God, brother. I cannot believe it. I mean, hey, have fun. Have fun with your dumbass, dude. Wait till they find out about all the pedophilia shit that you've done. Wait till they find out about, like, I don't know, a million other instances where you've said unimaginably violent shit. He got only a fucking fraction of the return that he has tried to deal my direction for years and years at this point. God damn, dude. He doesn't think you're the problem. The dude is jaded and a jealous boyfriend. What point will his community understand, like, because his community is not that big, but his community is like very, very dedicated, right? They love doing troll ops. They love doing like smear operations. They can do a sophisticated smear campaign, right? They can do a sophisticated smear campaign. So the very fact that they're not actually using all of their effort and all of those initiatives against the right, even in this very moment, and still at the mercy, at the whims of their fucking cult leader who just despises me, is crazy. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let me blast off and then let's keep going. It's the same with fucking Ethan Klein. Like, it's so obvious. If you are at this very moment when fascism is at our fucking doorstep, or okay, when it's here, and it's not only like, you know, knocking on your door, it's knocking down your neighbor's doors, and your only fucking opinion as a super wealthy guy living in a fucking Bel Air mansion is like, you know who's really at fault here? This guy that I personally hate. Your audience needs to fucking snap out of it, dude. You got to snap out of it. You got to snap out of it. I know those guys won't because they're just fucking petty, narcissistic morons. They're deeply unserious people. Australia's Sky News had a take, had some words for your 7:30 interview. Hell yeah, we'll talk about all that. Hold on. Far left radical Hassan Piker giving a spot on evening news. Fuck yeah. Antifa trans people designated as terrorists. Legalize comedy with Tim Heidecker. Is Tim Heidecker even in? Oh, he has a locked account. They had your greatest hits. Hell yeah. Anyway, Antifa plus trans people designated as terrorists. First Amendment war wages on. Daily Show, Jon Stewart. up on Thursday. Jon Stewart's take on Kimmel firing was great. Dude, I really hope these liberals also recognize that it's not just about Jimmy Kimmel. You know what I mean? They need to understand that. If they don't understand that, we're cooked. If they don't understand that, they can't be productive, okay? Because, like, it's obvious. It's obvious that this is something that began way before, okay? It's something that began, and Jon Stewart was already not in favor of like deporting critics of Israel. Obviously, I'm just saying that like the broader issue here, and I'm gonna get to it I'm gonna get to that as well. Don't worry. The broader issue here is that like liberals kind of don't understand that like this is a unconditional and uncompromising position that we must advocate for. Because like the fact that people are still not talking about, you know, Mahmoud Khalil in the same conversation as Jimmy Kimmel is very clearly a problem, because it's not just like Jimmy Kimmel that's the issue. It's not Jimmy Kimmel's content that's the issue. It's any kind of discontent or displeasure that you express that is the issue, whether it be against this administration or whether it be against Israel, okay? In any case, Antifa plus trans people designated as terrorists. First Amendment war wages on. Daily Show, Jon Stewart up on Thursday. Legalized comedy with Tim Heidecker. There's a bunch of stuff that we're going to be talking about beyond that, but that's just like the broad scopes of it. And we'll get to all of that and more. Get in now. Twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Tim Heidecker is later in the afternoon, chatters. I have a theory. The show was already dying because no one watches, so Disney used this time to shut it down while putting it on the right, because as far as I know, Disney's left-leaning, so it doesn't make sense for them to just drop Jimmy. I mean, all late night is dying, okay? But this is, you don't have late night television for clicks at this point. That's not a calculation that they make. The reason why they do this kind of stuff is for prestige. Disney is also not left-leaning, chatter. You're out of your mind. There is no company that is left-leaning. That's not a thing. There is no liberal. Like, Tim Apple is probably the wokest of the CEOs. He's gay as hell, and he's also kept up, like, the DEI initiatives uncompromisingly at Apple. But Tim Apple still straight up fillets Donald Trump. Right? Like you got Lush, you got Ben and Jerry's. Look at what's going on with Unilever and Ben and Jerry's, right? Like when you have companies that are even like actually with these causes, like they still end up arriving at the same issues. Like Lush is a great example because like Lush straight up was like, we're pro-Palestine. We're shutting off our stores. Like that was a cool move that they did, right? But as far as like mega corporations and conglomerates, if you think that they care about anything beyond more media mergers and acquisitions and developing a larger market share and therefore control the flows of information while simultaneously increasing their profit margins, you're delusional, okay? There are co-ops out there, and there are companies that have more labor power and labor control and labor influence out there, and those companies oftentimes will be more liberal or left-leaning, okay? But they are incredibly rare, right? They are incredibly rare. That's not the common thing. So, like, looking at a company like Disney, for example, is just not... and assuming that they're left-leaning is crazy. Will they actually have some leftist work in their output? Of course. I'm an Amazon employee. Think about that. I am an employee of the Amazon Corporation. Do you think Amazon is a leftist or liberal company at all? Of course it's not. But I make money for Amazon. I give Amazon prestige, right? I give Twitch prestige by its association with me. Think about that. Do you have a Gudetama? Yeah, I do. Look, right here. Ultimately, that's what they care about. Bro, you are shadow banned on Twitter now. I have notifications activated for you and didn't receive a notification and couldn't see that tweet up until I went to your page to look for it. Guys, I don't think so. You are stretching it too far. Stretching what too far? Stretching this anti-fascist t-shirt with my muscles? Maybe. If that's what you mean. Reddit is left-leaning? No, man. None of these companies are left-leaning. They're not. At most, they can have, to a certain degree, they can have a consideration, a real consideration for free speech, right? I can see that. I can totally see that. But when push comes to shove, finances are what matters, okay? When push comes to shove, the financial imperative is the only thing that matters. Profits is the only thing that matters. That is how companies work under capitalism. And I don't think Reddit is even remotely a liberal or leftist company. I think that people say that because there are a lot of subreddits that are super active that are somewhat liberal. But the company itself, I do not believe is even remotely. Like, there are workers there that are leftist or liberal or whatever, but like, I don't think that the company's output is leftist or liberal at all. Anyway, so that is where we're at. That's what's going on. And before I get into like the far left, the far left radical Hassan Pike giving a spot on the evening news with Australia's right wing broadcaster Sky News getting their panties in a bunch. And I know I'm going to talk about Kat getting brutalized by ICE as well. Shouts out to Kat Abu Ghazalig. That's our girl. Currently leftist college student that goes to overwhelmingly peaceful protests and celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's how bad it is. Like, okay, man. Good luck with that, I guess. I don't know. It is pretty funny though. It is pretty funny that he's just like, yeah, I think neo-Nazis are better than moderate leftists because moderate leftists have a more sincere anti-Zionist position than fucking neo-Nazis do. Neo-Nazis that are anti-Semitic and anti-Israel are fascist just like he is. He's fascist for Israel, okay? And he understands that those guys are fascists against Israel, but they're, white nationalist fascists. Isn't he trolling? That's a joke, right? I don't know if this is a joke. Okay? I think this is unironically what he thinks, unironically what he believes. It sounds incredibly stupid, so it's understandable that you assume that it is a joke. But no, it's not. Just like it's not a joke when people say, I just wanted to say the R word and that's why I voted for Trump. Like, you might assume that that is a position held by an absolute dumbass, and you're not wrong for thinking that. It is an incredibly dumb and childish position to hold, except those petty grievances absolutely have played a formative role in the decision-making process for a lot of people, okay? I mean, look. I tweeted about this earlier. Rudy Giuliani, update. Starbucks employees must write Charlie Kirk's name. An update from Starbucks. I said, I promise you, if we get a crumb of power, we are not doing this shit. It's going to be more worker control, free healthcare, education, high-speed rail, public housing, and a jobs program. I hate these fucking losers, man. Because, like, think about it. These guys are dominating the country right now. And what are they hyper-focusing on? Sanitizing television, making late night watchable again. It's like, dude, you are a fucking loser, okay? And this kind of behavior is exactly why you're never going to be able to reach, like, mass popularity. Because this is an entire grievance-based movement that has nothing, okay? That has no interest in genuinely improving people's material realities. That is just about constantly fucking crying to the mods because nobody likes you, because you pissed and shit your fucking pants. And you just now have to sit there in that piss and shit, and you want everyone to smell that piss and shit, and you want everyone to say, smells like roses. That's it. That's what it is. That's what this is. You're like a patently unlikable, annoying fucking person. And that is your major gripe, right? Yes, this was a great tweet. I fucking bookmarked it. Key to understanding the American right for me was realizing this stuff isn't a bit. They're not trolling you. They genuinely think this, and their 90,000 other hyper-specific pop culture fixations represent a civilizational life or death struggle between real America and woke. This is what happens when you straight up warp your consciousness collectively over culture war agenda items, okay? When all is culture war, then there is no need for class war. You have the entire dumbfuck fascist movement built around cultural resentments. It was about how my grandchildren don't call me anymore, okay? And then it was about how you couldn't say like unhinged shit on Facebook or whatever, right? And now it's about Starbucks won't actually venerate Charlie Kirk. Like, who the fuck goes to Starbucks and demands that Charlie Kirk get written on the fucking cup? And who cares? Who cares? It's just so ridiculous. They have no interest in real material harm at all. You have this childish vendetta, and that's the only thing you care about. These demands are so ridiculous, okay? It's so stupid. That's why this kind of stuff works so well when they talk about like, you know, the war on Christmas or whatever the fuck. It's just like completely made up petty grievances that they must get addressed at any given moment. Okay. Remember the 2016, 2020 era of right-wingers calling everything culture war bullshit and trashing it all? Funny how the turntables. No, but they were doing that back then too. They were just much better at pointing the finger of blame at the seemingly hysterical campus warriors. Okay. Seemingly hysterical social justice warriors. Like, that's how they did it. Okay. I talked about it. I ironically even debated Charlie Kirk about this at Politicon all the way back in like 2017, 2016. One of the things that I kept mentioning was the fact that Republicans, very organized, okay, would go to Congress and bully like Facebook and all these other social media platforms to say, you're not giving us enough popularity in the algorithm. You are suppressing us in the algo. But if you actually looked at the data that was readily available at the time, these companies were already working with like Heritage Foundation consultants that were sitting on the boards, okay? Facebook literally all the way back in 2016 had a Heritage Foundation consultant sitting on the fucking board, all right? And guess what? They were already not being suppressed. It was the exact opposite. They were quite literally getting platformed. Ben Shapiro was the most popular guy. Ben Shapiro was more popular than CNN on Facebook all the way back in 2016, but that didn't stop them from hyping up this narrative, developing this hysteria-focused, petty grievance-centered narrative that Republicans were actually not popular enough on these social media platforms. And the only reason why they were able to get away with this was because Republican policies are unpopular. So when Republican policies are unpopular and you run around and you go, hey, this is what I want. Hey, I think the civil rights the civil rights struggle was bad. I think that, we should go back to segregation or something, okay? Most people look at that and go, ew, no, you're a fucking loser. That's the real issue. That is the real issue for Republicans. It's not that they get to say what they believe. It's that they don't want any pushback against it. And worse than that, they want celebration for those beliefs. But there is a hidden recognition that those beliefs are obviously unsustainable with the concept of democracy in many circumstances and the concepts of liberalism in many circumstances, like the notion that, everyone is equal, right? Everyone must be protected. These are things that we have already signed on to as a part of the social contract. And Republicans oftentimes know that is untenable and unsustainable within the framework of liberalism. Therefore, they get really fucking ass mad when you actually call them out. When you say, that doesn't make sense, I don't like that, they get really fucking mad. They can't stand it. That is the same exact reason why, for example, with Charlie Kirk, Republicans were mad at people who were posting Charlie Kirk quotes. They were mad at people posting the things that Charlie Kirk was saying. Why would you be mad? You loved it when he was saying it. Why are you fucking mad now? They're mad because they understand that if there's any sort of sunlight on these kinds of attitudes, most people are going to go, wait a minute, this is the guy that you guys are venerating? I don't know about that. This is the guy that we're supposed to be like mourning, doing a national day of grief over. Yeah, I mean, it's totally fucked up that he got shot. It's completely unacceptable. But like, I'm not going to fucking mourn that guy, is what they're going to say if they know what his actual point of view is, which is why they've been punishing people for literally fucking presenting his point of view. Okay, direct quotes.
One more thing.
If you put Charlie Kirk's own statements out there, you get clapped. The Onion had a good piece on this, actually. The Onion had a joke about this that I really liked. It's just, hopefully before they get destroyed by this administration, because, comedy is legal now. Charlie Kirk, not in his own words, we honor the right-wing activists by making up quotes that sound much better given the moment. That's where we're at. It's like, hey, if you want to truly honor this person who is a political operative, you have to lie about what his positions were, okay? Lie in the direction that is more appropriate for the masses to consume. And they don't even want to say what any of his positions are, because they know that like even a moderate assessment of his positions require you to still reveal what his worldview looks like. And his worldview is right-wing, reactionary, extreme, radical. So you have to straight up defend it. You can't even just like say what his position is. You have to defend his positions as well. That's what they demand from you, because that's what this is always about. Republicans recognize that their policies are deeply fucking unpopular, especially when implemented. Okay? And for that reason, you can't actually say what these positions are. You have and you can't even express discontent with these positions. You have to love these positions. That's what it's about. Okay? It's antithetical to free speech. Obviously, it's the opposite, where it's like, no discourse from you, please. No discontent from you, please. How dare you push back against me? You're supposed to say you love my opinion. That's just it. It is the lamest version of fascism to date. It's not only monstrous, it's not only violent as fascism is, but it's also incredibly fucking weak, incredibly fucking lame.
That's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican.
Mainstream conservative Republicanism, if you are, obvious, if you're honest about it, is that, okay? It's those things. Why the fuck are you mad? You're mad because you recognize those things are we're supposed to learn that those things are bad. Okay, it hasn't reached a level. It has not reached a level in our collective consciousness that like misogyny is seen as like a good thing. Vice still to this day is not seen as a virtue. These are things that people actually reflect on negatively, which is precisely the reason why they still push back. It's like when a Nazi says they're not a Nazi, okay, when they're in public, because if they're branded with that moniker, it makes it a lot harder for them to reach a broader audience. Of course, that can change if the collective consciousness moved in that direction to such a degree that like fascism was seen as a positive thing, okay, they would just openly say they're fascists. It's that simple.
Had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election.
And the reason why I'm mentioning this, okay, the reason why I'm mentioning this is so that you understand that there are still a fuck ton of Americans with good conscience, okay? There are still so many people that have discontent. There are so many people that actually might experience some of these opinions that you might consider to be bigoted, but they can be convinced, and you should never give up on them. I never do, and you shouldn't either. That's why I've for years maintained this position that you always have to be kind to people and be aggressive against the institutions, just like Michael Jamal Brooks, rest in power, used to say, okay? Be kind to individuals, be ruthless to systems. And that's what we have to do. Would you stop yapping? I love when people say that. It's like, no, this is what I do, man.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. It begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. And in the spirit of affirmative action, we have Ramon and Cadillac are your two pilots. They've never flown before, but they are black. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
The war on white people continues.
You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously.
We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles.
LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart.
You're representing your nation. You're selfish sociopath.
Not very bright, not wise, not somebody of good character.
She is a shame to the country.
Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today. Data shows they were actually better in the 1940s.
Let's get loud for Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm also going to offer some context and some nuance about the death of George Floyd that no one dares to say out loud, which is that this guy was a scumbag.
Remember what BLM stands for? Burn, loot, and murder.
Now, does that mean it deserves to die? That's two totally different things. Of course not.
Prowling blacks go around for fun.
You know what's crazy about that is like that right there. If you speak about Charlie Kirk in that way, oh my Lord, you are getting fired. People are posting your address online. Okay. They're coming after you. Maybe you go to jail. You know, the administration is doing that. There was no point where the fucking liberals, like, can you imagine there was a point where like Joe Brandon was coming out and being like, you talk shit about George Floyd, I'm coming after you, Jack. You know what I mean? Like the administration was just like, that's right. We are going to make it illegal to say mean things about George Floyd. No, but that is the hysteria that these guys actually believed. On the one hand, they did this shit. On the other hand, like while they were saying this stuff, on the other hand, they would turn around and be like, and they're coming after us for saying this. The administration is woke. They want to kill us for saying the truth. Okay? And it's so crazy. You're a fucking terrorist piece of shit. Brother, this administration is literally terrorizing you. Okay? They are terrorizing you. I know you don't give a fuck about Jimmy Kimmel, and neither do I. But I promise you, you are not getting a better deal here. Okay? Bullshit. Okay. Explain to me. Is Is your life more affordable? Are you capable of purchasing a home? Do you feel like things are getting better now that trans people are no longer able to compete in athletic endeavors at the collegiate level? Did that actually materially improve your life in any meaningful capacity? You could, in the past, you could at least make this argument that like, well, I'm a Trump merchandise salesman. This is what I do. So obviously the Trump administration has been fantastic for me. Now you can't even say that because he put fucking tariffs on the Trump merchandise because all of it was coming from Bangladesh. It's awesome. Motherfuckers would be like, you're a terrorist. You're a terrorist. It's like, meanwhile, everything around you is fucking on fire. What does that have to do with anything at all? What do you mean? That's what politics is, dumb fuck. You are no different than the liberals who don't understand this because you also analyze this from the lens of team sport. My team is winning, so I guess my shit's better overall. That's what liberals do too, and I get very frustrated with them over this, where it's like, you have to wake up. That's the entire point of politics. You are supposed to make demands from your party, from your elected representatives, and they have to actually follow through on those demands. And if the only thing that they're promising to you is no improvements to your material reality whatsoever, but simply punishing your fucking enemies that they have designed as the singular evil in society, whether it be undocumented migrants that are just simply trying to fucking make an honest living, okay, toiling every goddamn day in 100-degree heat out in the fucking fields, and they get punished for it instead of getting the proper documentation, which is that simple for the record. It's that easy for them to just like literally become documented workers in this country. All right. If you think that those guys are your actual enemies, and it's not the fact that like your boss will never give you an honest day of work's wages that you fucking deserve, and that your landlord is going to consistently keep increasing your fucking rent prices, and you're never going to be able to actually own a home, and you're never going to be able to retire, like those are the real problems in your life. It's not the fucking random Guatemalans. Wake up! Wake up. Do you understand? That is the entire point. Donald Trump didn't win because he said he's going to dominate random Mexican migrants. He won because he said he was going to fix the cost of living, and he tied it back to Mexican migrants. And now he's punishing the Mexican migrants and the Guatemalan migrant workers. And guess what? Cost of living hasn't improved at all. Wake up. Stop focusing on irrelevant bullshit. Stop focusing on your fucking neighbors. Stop focusing on people that have the exact same class position as you. Okay? This is how they get away with robbing you blind. Also, I don't even know why you are saying I'm a terrorist. I guess maybe because I say I'm an anti-fascist. Is that what it is? Yeah, voting is about voters extracting concessions. Voting is about voters extracting concessions from politicians in exchange for your
voters
vote.
were being open that they would not vote for Biden if he continued the genocide. Yet many diehard liberal blue waivers and resistance libs suggest that those voters threatening to withhold their vote should be voting for Biden unconditionally due to the threat of a second Trump presidency. Many were saying some form of, you need to unconditionally vote for the Democrats because you're voting to save democracy. And, well, I'm not sure if they know this, but the basis of democracy is literally about extracting concessions from politicians in exchange.
You know this is a Hasanabi head, full slack. You know this is a Hasanabi head because he's verbatim repeating what I say all the time.
For your vote. That's the name of the game. It's a fucking cornerstone. When they tell you you need to unconditionally vote for the Democrats because we're voting to save democracy, well, what...
Always remember two fundamental truths. Politics is about the distribution of resources and power, including violence. Who gets to do it? Who is the recipient of it? Structural violence, direct violence, state violence, and the like. And democracy is about extracting concessions from your elected representatives. Okay? Democracy under liberal capitalism is seen as a pressure valve to make people feel as though they have an option to at least change, to at least make people feel as though they have a say in this process. But it's very obvious that a bourgeois democracy never yields those outcomes. And that's why there's so much discontent. And in the absence of any sort of real structural pushback in the form of labor unions, in the form of organizing and activism, in the form of like direct action, this duopoly that we exist under keeps doing the same shit, profit over people, every single time. Okay? Every single time. Meanwhile, you still got motherfuckers in this chat going, "Oh, you're a terrorist." You are blinded by your hatred. You're blinded because someone deluded you into thinking that I'm your fucking enemy because I want you to get free healthcare. I want you and your children, if you ever have them in the future, to have a better future. Okay? I want you to get a free education. I want you to get free healthcare. I want you to have fucking decent wages. I want you to have more power in the workplace. How the fuck is that bad for you? That's it. Think about that. These motherfuckers run around thinking that like I'm the enemy, thinking that we are the enemy. They try to invent new realities, invent alternative realities where they go, "Nah, you're violent, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're violent, you're bad, you're bad. You want something worse for me." Huh.
To go target white people, that's a fact.
There's no such thing as white privilege or racism. So black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. Black people can go up and say that there's a baby mama problem in black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oh, I just did. So what are you gonna do? Cancel me? Black people are allowed to say. Black people are allowed to say.
I'm a grown man. I got way
Black
too much
people
to
are
worry
allowed.
about.
Skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday.
There's a mythology around MLK that does not warrant the reverence that he gets treated with in America.
We have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding. The country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 1.
Yeah, when you bring this stuff up, by the way, especially about MLK, and the reason why, so I'll tell you something, okay? There have always been conservatives who obviously were alive during the MLK period that despised MLK, and a lot of conservatives that never gave up on that. But because of the way that MLK's legacy was whitewashed by liberals for the most part and became like a much more palatable figure by American consciousness, in the last 20 years or so, shitting on Martin Luther King became a big no-no. Okay? Post-Reagan, I would say, shitting on MLK, especially in the last 20 years, became a major no-no, okay? Republicans would be branded as racist if they were to do so. Charlie Kirk was bringing that back, that old school conservatism back. By the way, old school conservatism kind of feels a lot like you're just being a fucking racist, right? But the reason why people still get very upset when you bring this up about Charlie Kirk's position on Martin Luther King, the reason why they get mad is because, again, a lot of people would look at you funny if you were to say these things out loud. What Charlie Kirk was saying it out loud, and he was defending them vociferously. He believed it. Okay? This was his position. But obviously, it reflects poorly on him and his movement, and therefore, now conservatives don't want you to bring it. They don't want you to bring it up.
100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. The death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI.
Ketanji Brown Jackson is what your country looks like on critical race theory.
You're gonna remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian?
Ketanji Brown Jackson is an embodiment of the tyranny.
Like, when people say this is out of context, you have to remember something, okay? As someone who is the recipient of out of context smears, you have to listen to directionally where this ideology is going, okay? Because there are instances where, for example, I'm taken out of context and I mean the exact opposite thing, right? It happens all the time. Or there are instances that people regularly use, quotes that people regularly use, like when I said, Sexual violence taking place on October 7 does not change the dynamic for me even one bit. I'm obviously referencing genocide. I'm saying nothing justifies genocide, including sexual violence that took place on October 7. Okay? But people will say, oh, dude, you're saying that like these guys are doing rape for resistance or whatever the fuck. Like they try to shelter the public from the actual assessment because they recognize that if they were to say the entire quote out loud, most people will go, yeah, that's right. It is that doesn't actually justify genocide, right? But in this circumstance, when people say, "Oh, you're taking him out of context," as far as like the MLK quote, for example, right? It's not like Charlie Kirk is actually saying like MLK was bad at being a bad guy. You know what I mean? The rest of the context isn't like changing his perspective. The rest of the context is just more defense of that position. Do you understand? Like he's not sitting there and being like MLK's bad and then people clip that, but then when you see the extended quote, it actually turns into MLK's bad at being a bad person. He's actually a really good person. Like that would be something that is taken out of context, right? David is arrested, will be live after hours on Fox News. Wait, David got arrested? The numbers on your blast off make no sense. Elon is messing with you. I think I am being a little not base boosted, but like I'm getting hit with the algorithm a little bit, I think. Oh yeah. Like look at this. Like the fact that he shit on MLK is now being compared to him by the right. Yeah. I'm being treble boosted. He's still talking about you. What is that? Extremely troubling. Fully endorsed by Amazon and Jeff Bezos. That's so funny, man. Ay. Okay. I think Twitter's a little buggy today. Lots of my notifications delayed. Okay. I told you were shadow banned. Okay, shut up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Twitter is a broken platform. Obviously, the person who owns the platform, the wealthiest billionaire on the planet, has a personal vendetta. He has it out for me. He is not the biggest fan of me. And therefore, maybe he'll do some shit. Who cares? Okay? Who gives a fuck? Just let him chirp. Let him chirp into the wind, okay?
That we currently live on. She's an ideological, unintelligent, yet confident fanatic.
Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right?
So she wants to be the first ever black woman on the Supreme Court, yet she won't even admit that she's a woman.
The transgender...
Bro, why do you think he hates you so much? Dude, it's because I had his baby mama on, Grimes, on the broadcast, and she said, "Why are you so buff?" That's it. That literally is the turning point. That is unironic. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so fucking stupid, but that is straight up the major reason. Okay? Elon Musk, I know for a fact, has hated me since that moment. Okay? And he's never really let go of that anger and resentment. And he has taken pot shots against me over the years. But he has become a lot more active in his vengeance quest in the last month or so. I would say in the last couple of months, but especially in this last week. Yeah, it's this.
And not media trained enough. Why are you so buff? Is it necessary?
I don't know. I like working out.
And not media trained enough. Why are you?
This is it. This is why he will just never stop trying to punish me. But it also makes sense. Viral TikTok explains why Elon hates
you're
you.
Not slick. We know why you don't like Hassan Piker. He became enemy number one the second Grimes sat on that stream talking about how muscular he was. And then he had Vivian on to top it off. We know.
Yeah.
Maybe pull that face card out.
That is what it is, though, straight up.
When I was a baby left.
Wait, where did the fucking clip go? I lost the clip. I was going to retweet it. I was going to repost it. Having the richest guy on earth be your op is a flex. I know, but like, it's not though. It's not. It's not because like it is an environment that is not very safe. Okay. Yes, Vivian also is the reason, but I'm saying that like the starting point for this anger was Grimes. Of course, Vivian is another reason as well, but like he has hated me since that moment. It is crazy. Like, yeah, I have my own fucking Lex Luthor, man. It is messed up.
Movement is an introductory phase. These doctors need to be put in prison to get you to strip yourself of your humanity. A Nuremberg-style trial to mesh with machines. Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree.
Reject feminism.
Young women need to get married at a younger age and start having kids. Like, don't like, I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here.
Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge.
You will find a husband if you have the intent to find a husband.
You got to change your name. If not, you don't really mean it.
Democrat women want to die alone without children.
A lot of them are on birth control too, and birth control like really screws up female brains, by the way.
That's really rich. I didn't know women not to complain 50 years ago. That's funny. We should tell them to stop freezing their eggs and start finding their partner earlier and have lots of babies.
Every single one of you need to make sure that your loved ones are not on birth control.
So materially insane to think that 1 in 5 American women will be raped in their life.
It is, I agree.
No, meaning that they're lying about being raped. That
You're comparing abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse. Because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism.
Sure, he said black women are a problem. A YouTuber said your dad is a billionaire, so you're richer than Elon Musk. He only has $500 million. Good one. Sure, he said black women are a problem, but you didn't watch the full context. Come on, true. Yeah. He actually meant black women have a problem, which is that they don't run every aspect of the country, and they should. That's what he was actually implying. It's just that it's out of context to make it seem like he was anti black women being in any role in society. Yes, he has said abortions are worse than the Holocaust over and over again. He has said that. Of course, that's like another extremely radical position. Extremely radical position from the moderate conservative. The reason why they have to keep up this notion that this is a moderate conservative position without revealing what it actually is because most people understand, like the Joe Rogans of the world. If you go to Joe Rogan and you say abortion is evil and wrong and barbaric and it's worse than the Holocaust, Joe Rogan's going to be like, what the fuck are you saying? And I know for a fact that he would say that because it has happened. If you recall, the Babylon Bee guy, one of those Babylon Bee guys went on the Joe Rogan Experience, and Joe Rogan and the Babylon Bee guy had a conversation about how abortion is murder. Joe said, I don't think it's murder. There are certain instances where it's valid. Okay? And the Babylon Bee guy straight up defended the notion, defended on principle that abortion is murder, that if a 5-year-old was like, if a 12-year-old was raped, that he would force that 12-year-old to carry a pregnancy to term. Joe said, my daughter is like 12. You know what I mean? And he, obviously, in that moment, it became very real for him. Okay? Because the reason why I'm bringing up Joe Rogan is because like he is closer to like his positions, not his like material realities, obviously, but his positions, his brain processing capability is quite literally closer to like a normie than myself or anyone in this community, right? Regardless of your working class background. And you know this already because you talk to your coworkers. If you talk to your coworkers, then you've already heard them repeat and regurgitate Joe Rogan style takes. This is a major aspect of conservatism. On the one hand, you want to be able to advance these positions. You want to be able to get other people on board with these positions. But on the other hand, you kind of recognize that even coworkers who are normally much more open-minded to these like fucking ridiculous positions, there is a level of reactionary sentiment that they won't go beyond, where they'll say, that's too much for me.
Mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies. By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals.
Expensive.
It should be public. It should be quick. It should be televised. Well, at what age should you start to see public execution?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12.
I want to watch that execution. That'll make
Chicken ooh jockey. Sure, your brain processing capability is so much better. I never said that. I'm a dumb guy, man. Okay, I say it all the time. I say it all the fucking time. The difference is I know I'm dumb, and I think that's like a superpower as opposed to the dumb guys who don't know they're dumb. Do you see what I mean? I know my limitations, right? I think a lot of people don't, and that is a major issue with a lot of people. They don't know what their limitations are. They think they have none, and they just fucking keep chirping. And we exist in a society where people who chirp without any knowledge whatsoever are rewarded for it by other dumb guys. And that is a big issue. Okay? Dunning-Kruger. Entitlement. The notion that you are a unique snowflake, and by virtue of you coming up with any position, no matter how fucking stupid it is, other people must respect it. Other people must listen to it, and other people must believe it and defend it. You know what I mean? What are your limitations according to you in self-reflection exercise? My strong suit, I would say, is foreign policy. I'm not the most skilled orator, even though a lot of chatters will disagree with me. I don't have the level of confidence that many others do when they're doing public speaking. Okay? My limitations are when it comes to finance related stuff. Okay? For sure. Feminist theory is another one, certainly, but I don't think that is as big as a limitation as you think it is. Like, even when it comes to like queer theory, feminist theory, there's a lot of stuff that I think allows me to be a better, more appeal, there's a lot of stuff that allows me to have more broad appeal. Because like, if I was, like, I will say that is a weakness for sure. But I don't think that's one that is like making me a worse commentator. I think that makes me a better commentator. And the reason why I think so is because a lot of people are not even at my position when it comes to a lot of these issues. And I try to pull them into that. I try to pull them towards a journey where they're more empathetic to people that people whose backgrounds are different than theirs. You do know a lot about queer culture. I mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I fully understand, I don't know, queer theory or whatever. Anyways,
my day better. A lot. I mean, Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled Alzheimer's.
If your strong point is foreign policy, then why not cover Indonesia, Nepal, Myanmar, Sudan, and Congo? I don't know, man. Because just because I said my strong suit is foreign policy doesn't mean that I have full knowledge of like over the historical developments that are taking place in all of these fucking countries at all times. That doesn't mean that, you fucking moron. When I say foreign policy, I'm talking about American foreign policy. And sure, American foreign policy factors into all of those countries because of the global hegemon. But that doesn't mean I know everything about every fucking country that has ever developed. Jesus fucking Christ. You guys are so stupid. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. There's another weakness. I get very fucking mad when people go, oh, you claim to know about foreign policy? Name every foreign country. That's what this is. Wow.
Corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America.
The Democrat Party believes everything that God hates.
Like, we're dealing with maggots, vermin, and swine here. These are not good people. They're not even a little bit good. In fact, I know people that went to Haiti passively as like agnostic atheists, and they came back searching for Jesus because they saw like legit demonic activity. Kamala Harris wants to see the elimination of the United States of America.
Democrat Party supports everything that God hates.
There's not much you can do, folks. You have a government that hates you. You have a traitor as the president. Buy weapons. I keep on saying that.
As top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. If some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. Native-born Americans, you better buy weapons, everybody. Have a lot of guns at your disposal. I would never leave your home without a weapon. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
We actually need looser gun laws because I think that
Gun laws.
Oh yeah.
They said we have more guns at the Turning Point HQ than you can imagine. Yeah, if anyone ever tries to come, that will not end well for you.
Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I am channeling the emotions of millions of conservatives who are angry. They knew Charlie, they loved Charlie, they view Charlie as a mainstream conservative.
The saddest part about it is that this is true. Okay? He is by virtue of his job position. Charlie Kirk is a mainstream conservative. That was his role. Okay? And as mainstream conservatism became more Trumpian, which is the dog whistles coming off, right? And turning into direct statements about exactly what they mean, okay? He did become a mainstream. I mean, he was always a mainstream figure. And he kept being a mainstream figure. That's it. I miss the old conservative party. No, the old conservative party always was this as well. They were just more restrained in their commentary. I need you to understand, make no mistake. This is what Republicans have always represented. This is what the right flank has always represented in this country. Why? Why? Because they have to hold on to some kind of political polarization. They have to hold on to some kind of political polarization because they are aligned on broad economic issues, and they have become more aligned since the Reagan era. Okay? Once Reagan came in and neoliberalism was fully implemented, Republicans and Democrats aligned on and found broad consensus on a lot of the economic policies. Okay?